Tattva Bodha Part 4 Law of Karma. You need to be fully familiar with the material from the previous videos in this series, Tattva Bodha Parts 1 to 3, before watching this. In this final section of the Tattva Bodha, we will review the law of karma. As we saw earlier, the word karma means action, not just physical action, but also speech and thought. Karma can also mean the fruits of the action. In this video, we will be using the word karma interchangeably to mean one or the other, so stay on your toes. Every action produces both visible and invisible results. These invisible results are also called karma. Another way to understand this: just as my visible actions produce visible results, my invisible thoughts and motives produce invisible results. Quote-unquote, good actions produce good karma, and bad actions produce bad karma. This karma is recorded in my subtle body, similar to recording financial transactions in a check register. That's obviously an oversimplification, but you get the general idea. Unlike your register, deposits and withdrawals don't cancel each other. All karma is recorded separately. To take the register analogy further, the positive and negative balances are kept separate. It is extremely important to understand that my motive or attitude is the cause of the invisible karma. Let me illustrate this with an example. I am walking down the street and I push another pedestrian down. The pedestrian gets hurt. Let me ask you, would that be good karma or bad karma? Easy, you say. That's bad karma. You hurt someone. But let me provide some additional detail. I noticed that a bus was bearing down on this pedestrian. I pushed him out of the way of a potentially fatal accident. Obviously, that would be good karma because I saved the pedestrian from a worse injury. So the question that should be asked is, what is my motive for my action? That's what determines the karma that I accrue. The same action with different motives will produce different karma. A criminal who kills someone accrues bad karma. An executioner who is doing his duty by killing someone will not accrue bad karma. What is death? Death is defined as the separation of the subtle body from the gross body. Since the subtle body is not visible or detectable by anyone else, it is not surprising that upon death, no one can observe this separation. The typical life of a human body is roughly 100 years or less, but the subtle body has a very long life. It continues to exist until the dissolution of the universe. Upon death, the subtle body separates from the gross body. The gross body is discarded and becomes food for others. What happens to the subtle body? Remember the karma that is recorded in the subtle body? The total karma that I accrue from my birth to my death is called agami karma. Once I die, this gets added to the grand total of all my karma, called sanchita karma. Note that my sanchita karma includes karma from all my previous lives. Tattva Bodha says the only way to exhaust this karma is to be born again. After an indeterminate period of time, it could be a day, a year, a century, or a millennium, that is not clear. A portion of your grand total sanchita karma fructifies and determines the next birth. This portion that fructifies is called prarabdha karma. This portion is responsible for determining your next birth, which species you will be born into, human or animal, what type of body, healthy or sickly, strong or weak, etc. This is the karma that you spend or exhaust in your next birth. Conversely, you can also say that your life will end when your prarabdha karma is exhausted. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad offers further clues on what happens to the subtle body. When it is time for rebirth, the subtle body ascends into space where it mixes with air into rain. The body falls to the earth and enters food which is consumed by a male. Then the body is transferred as sperm into a female body to begin the next incarnation. I will address a few common questions regarding the law of karma. Why do bad things happen to good people? There are many situations in life where we see good people go through hard times and we think life is unfair. But we are not aware of all of the facts when making this judgment. It is not possible for us to determine what kind of karma a person is carrying around. The Vedas declare that the law of karma is a natural law, like the law of gravity. You and you alone are responsible for your karma. Fatalistic views are invalid. Some people have a fatalistic view of karma. They say, no matter what I do, my karma will decide the outcome, so what's the point of doing my best? This is an invalid argument. The very assumption that my past karma affects my present outcome is a validation that my present actions affect my karma and therefore affect my future. You control your own destiny. Your thoughts and actions control the karma you accrue. You alone are responsible for your future. Only you can alter your destiny. No one else, not even God. How did the very first birth happen if there was no karma to begin with? There is no answer to that question because everything is a cycle. It is like asking where the circle starts and where it ends. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? There is no answer. One could argue the question itself is invalid. Is the number of subtle bodies in creation a constant? This doesn't make sense. The human population is exploding. Yes, according to the Vedas, there are a fixed number of subtle bodies. Remember that this includes every living being in the universe. We are seeing a decline in animal population while humans become more numerous. Finally, the most important question, is there any way to break free from this cycle of reincarnation? Thankfully, yes. Tattva Bodha tells us when a person gains self-knowledge and realizes that his consciousness, Jivatma, is of the same nature as the all-pervading consciousness, Brahman, he becomes a wise person or jnani. The jnani carries out his duties dispassionately without attachment or motive. He realizes that Brahman enlivens him and everyone else. So he is able to see everyone and everything as himself. Since motive is the cause of karma, he does not accrue any agami karma during this life. The jnani's self-knowledge is so powerful that it destroys all the grand total sanchita karma in his subtle body. The only karma left for him is his fructified prarabdha karma, which is the karma that he has to exhaust in this birth. This cannot be escaped. Prarabdha karma is like an arrow that has already been fired. Once his prarabdha karma is exhausted, the jnani's gross body dies, and his jivatma merges with Brahman, releasing him from the cycle of reincarnation. This concludes the law of karma and the study of the Tattva Bodha text. Let's move on to the next video, definition of God.